219 secrets in video games. If you head to the Amber Respite Shrine in Ghost of Yotei, there's this place you can climb down into, letting you discover a secret mural left by the devs. It shows a Japanese rendition of the final battle from Infamous 2. There's Cole with his amp weapon, and the fire dude is John, aka the beast who you fight at the end of the game. Considering the creators of Ghost of Yotei are the devs of Infamous, you can see why they put so much effort into this. And they also reference other PlayStation games too, like in Ghost of Tsushima, where you can stumble across a tree with an axe and a golden handprint on it. Now, if you've played God of War, you already know what this means, but this gets even cooler. If you return here wearing the Sakai family armor, it'll play a secret cutscene with the theme song. But personally, I love the secret celebrity cameo hiding in Borderlands 3. During one of the side missions, you could fight a mini-boss named Pain and Terror. These guys feel super familiar, right? Well, they're actually a parody of real-life magic duo Penn and Teller. And they even made it so one of them speaks while the other has their mouth sewn shut. Already a pretty cool Easter egg in its own right, until you realize it's not just a reference. This is actually them. Now, let's move over to Atomfall, one of the most underrated games of 2025, which is full of Easter eggs. My personal favorite, though, can only be found out of bounds. As you might already know, this game is basically what if Fallout happened in Northern England, and that's why you could find this iconic green car stranded on a hill. You cannot get to this normally, yet if you zoom into it with your scope, you can make out an armchair attached to the roof and a skeleton sitting on it. Yeah, you're looking at Mr. Bean's car in the nuclear apocalypse, with the chair being a reference to this episode of the show. I guess my man was just driving down the road when the nukes dropped or something, and now he's here forever. But I bet you can't predict what happens in Hitman 3's Marrakesh level. As you probably know, you can disguise as anyone in the game, and this even includes the military commanders. But the absolute coolest thing about this is how becoming one lets you dismiss any soldier you want. Now, most people would use this feature to clear out the area and pull off their assassinations. Yet, what actually happens to a soldier once you get rid of them? Well, it turns out they don't get deleted, they just walk outside and stand there waiting for something to do. And here's where things get extremely hilarious. You can basically go through the level and dismiss every single guard out there until there's none left. Then once you return to the area that the soldiers are at, you can just see them all chilling out. And in this room, there's a brand new secret button for the intercom, letting you start a secret dance party. And they're not the only ones with a hidden party. SCP-5K is already a creepy game, but if you go into this area and shoot the 3 electrical boxes, then return to where you started, you'll find the world's most unsettling crab rave. But you gotta appreciate the amount of work that goes into the tiny details as well. And over in Elden Ring, you probably know that every NPC in the game looks at you while you're near them. It's a totally normal thing that's been in games for years at this point, so what's so cool about it in Elden Ring? Well, if you try walking near Hyetta or Arena, they don't look in your direction at all. And that's because they're the only blind characters in the entire game. Talk about attention to detail. However, that's not the only thing that went over players' heads. In the Guardians of the Galaxy game, you have all kinds of funny dialogue within your team. But at one point, Gamora, Drax, and Star-Lord discuss different names for the squad. And Gamora suggests,
I was thinking of something catchy, like Stardust Crusaders.
I like that one.
Now, this is a tiny nod to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, with Stardust Crusaders being the name of its second season and the third main story arc. But what's extra crazy is when an Easter egg breaks itself out of the game. In Alien Isolation, you could find a dead body belonging to someone named Mike Tanaka. He has some sketches next to him and that's about it. Or so we thought. Turns out that if you went on Twitter during the month this game released, you could find these exact same sketches belonging to Mike Tanaka's account. And the devs put all this effort into an Easter egg just for it to be missed by pretty much every player. 2,800 days ago, God of War released, one of the greatest reboots in video game history. And yet, it wasn't until 4 years later that it would come to PC, revealing an insane Easter egg. During the fight with Baldur, every player sees this. However, people discovered that if you went out of bounds using a free cam, you'd find Baldur perfectly alive and flipping us off. The moment I saw this, I knew I wanted to investigate other Easter eggs that took years to find. And that immediately led me to The Witcher 3. Now, this game is 10 years old, and it wasn't until 2024 that one of its most hidden secrets was discovered. The developer CD Projekt Red had placed a propaganda recruitment ad underneath the map, but when players found it, it was a little too late. Looking at it, it's obviously a parody of Uncle Sam, but some players actually think this was a way to recruit game testers. After all, you need to be good at finding glitches to even discover this artwork. Clearly though, no one was good enough, at least not for 9 years. But some Easter eggs are hiding in plain sight, like Spider-Man 2000's tutorial secret. Yeah, what I'm about to show you was literally in the opening of the game, and yet it wasn't discovered until 21 years later. In 2021, a player named Javinci uploaded a video where they claimed they had found a secret door. Right there, staring you in the face, is the team who made the game. However, if you try this for yourself, you might actually see a different photo. Turns out that on versions like PC, the devs who ported the game will appear instead. Nice. But hey, at least it was discovered by a player, because some Easter eggs are so difficult to find, the devs have to straight up leak them. When Fallout 4 released in 2015, it was full of secrets, including this underground bunker across the river. And inside, you'd find a door locked behind a keypad. Now, players quickly found their way in because it uses the most famous 4-digit code in gaming, 0451. This shows up in so many games because it was originally the real door code to the offices of Looking Glass Studios. Anyway, this one was super easy to solve. And inside, people found, well, a super dead guy and a powerful revolver called the Gainer. Everything had gone smoothly up to this point, but now Easter egg hunters were staring at this place with confusion. No one knew what it meant. Some thought it was a Fahrenheit 451 reference, others thought it was Red Skull from Marvel. But this wouldn't get solved until 2019. Joel Burgess, the lead level designer, went on social media and revealed its hidden meaning. Turns out, that skeleton is a reference to Snatcher, a super old Kojima game.
Dear God.
But what about that weapon you pick up? Well, it turns out this would have never been solved by players because it was actually a personal Easter egg. The Gainer was left for Joel's friend to find, another developer named Steve, who apparently loves video game magnums. And somehow, even GTA 5 has secrets that took forever to find. When the game dropped in 2013, everyone immediately started sharing the fact that Bigfoot was on the map. You could find him in the forest sometimes, and there was even a chance you get to play as him by eating a peyote plant. Except, we were so focused on Bigfoot existing that we didn't realize there was a whole nother level to this thing. It wouldn't be until 3 years later that people discovered golden peyote plants, which only spawn in snowy weather between 5 and 8 a.m. Now, if you managed to eat all 7 of these around the map, you'd unlock a secret mission that nobody knew about. Bigfoot versus Teen Wolf. Yeah, this was a reference to Teen Wolf, which took so long to find that technically he isn't even a teenager anymore. He would have turned 20 years old by the time someone found this. Although, there's an Easter egg that was so hard to find that the devs had to step in and give us a clue. In Batman Arkham City, there was a secret tease for the next game that nobody even knew existed. This is when the developers straight up made an undercover YouTube account called JG Jor, aka Julian Gregory Day, the name of the supervillain Calendar Man. They uploaded one video simply called Arkham City Secret, and that's all it was, a clue. But from here, the community was able to solve it. They realized if you turned your console's date all the way back to 2004 and then talked to Calendar Man on December 13th, the day that Rocksteady was founded, you'd hear this.
Well, well, well. And on today of all days, do you remember my early work? Flawed, but it showed promise. Days were the secret, Batman. And the end of days is coming. I was there at your beginning, and I will be there at your end.
Not only was this a teaser for the next game, but it was the developers talking directly to us through Calendar Man, asking if we remember their early work, and confirming they'll still be here to end the franchise with Arkham Knight. And another dev who had to step in and help us was with Titanfall 2. 6 years had passed since the game dropped, and one of the developers was shocked nobody had found a certain Easter egg. So they went straight to Twitter saying, "This is the only hint I'm giving, and even then, I hope it doesn't give it away instantly." I booted up the game, loaded the closest checkpoint, go to the place, repeated a certain action a lot, and bam, open sesame. And it turns out, this clue did give it away instantly. Within just 16 hours, someone had already found it. Inside of the campaign, there was a security door that had been sealed shut for 6 years. Now, pretty much everyone had walked past this thing assuming it was just decoration. But then some genius players decided to time travel in front of it 88 times. judging from the number, you can already tell that this is a subtle Back to the Future reference. But it also means you gotta sit here doing this for like over a minute straight, so it kinda makes sense nobody found it. But after that tedious task, you finally get to see what's inside. A room with two skeletons recreating a scene from the movie Time Cop.
Have a nice day.
Still wasn't as hidden as the Easter egg in Saints Row 2 that took an entire 12 years to appear. During development, the devs wanted to add a secret to freak people out, but before the game released, this actually got scrapped. So, obviously nobody found it, and it wasn't until data miners added a single line of code into the files that we got our first look. But what about when an Easter egg is so important to gaming history it has to be found? Well, in 2002, TimeSplitters 2 released, and fans have been waiting decades for a remaster. There are almost no PC ports out there, especially ones that work on modern-day computers. And it's a pretty important game. Yet, that's what it turned out. There was a native 4K PC port sitting on our computers this whole time. In 2021, one of the devs behind Homefront: The Revolution confessed that he included the entirety of TimeSplitters 2 inside of the files. So, why did it take so long for people to find it? Well, the developer actually forgot the password and couldn't unlock the game. It took a team of hackers just a few days to reverse engineer the code, and they were able to finally unlock the game after 2 decades. Oh, and back in GTA 5, we all know how hard it is to truly get to the bottom of the ocean. Well, after 5 years of trying, Robin Rams used a car to glitch to the seabed. And once he was down here, he went into a free cam and discovered this mysterious cube. All that was on it were the words, "This does not exist."
Huh?
I honestly can't believe we didn't know about this sooner. It really makes you wonder what else is hiding in this game. Well, if you go to the Opium Knights Hotel near the airport and glance at the door's reflection during the evening, you'll see Liberty City from GTA 4. This one is seriously so cool and somehow wasn't found for an entire decade. And while we're on the topic of airports, did you know Family Guy Back to the Multiverse had an entire level set in one? And since this was back in 2012, no one really paid much attention to it. It wasn't until fans went back to the game for a trip of nostalgia that they realized, wait a second, this is the airport from No Russian. Sure, this may be based on an actual airport in real life, but Family Guy specifically used the layout from Call of Duty. Over in Mass Effect 3, a developer decided to hide a very small Easter egg inside the game. He waited and waited for someone to find it, but what he didn't realize is that they'd be waiting for an entire decade. So he went straight to Reddit, drawing a diagram of where to go and how to unlock the Easter egg. If you followed his instructions on Mars, you'd be able to see this adorable little rover. Now, somehow players found this next secret in Black Ops 3 without any help, even though it took 4 years to discover. In the starting level of Dreisendrach, partially repair every window with 2 boards. Next, you gotta buy an RK5 off the wall and place another 2 boards on every single window. Now you gotta buy a Shiva and build a final plank on the windows. It is finally time for the last step. Buy the RK5 back and unlock the first door. As you walk out, this secret photo will appear. This is a personal tribute left by a developer to his family, with him saying, "It's not a memorial, everyone is still alive and well." This secret was never meant to be found by the public. In fact, players only discovered this because they went into the files. And one of the greatest ways that Easter egg has been found was in Wind Waker. Fishwaffle64 was fighting the final boss in the Forbidden Forest, and thankfully she was live streaming when she decided to experiment with water.
We're gonna try to pour forest water on first cycle and see what happens. If it makes do damage or something. Wow!
Wow, it killed him.
It killed it! Holy cow!
Yeah, it's not often you find an Easter egg after 14 years by total accident, not to mention while streaming. But there's a secret of Futurama which took even longer. The PS2 game released in 2003, and it wasn't found until 16 years later in 2019. Now, you're probably wondering, why did it take so long? Well, it was insanely complex. I mean, you had to go to the boiler room, smash fire glass, get money out of a drawer, earn exactly $7, and then smash a TV. After all of that, you'd get... yeah, a literal Easter egg. And 2 years before that, we had an old jet ski game called Wave Race Blue Storm. And this thing had some crazy secrets that weren't uncovered until leakers dug into the code a decade later. They discovered mysterious MP3 files and realized that if you went into the game's menu and entered the Konami code, your next race would be shocking.
Is that the best you can do? Weak.
sadly, you might spend years of your life trying to solve a mystery, and it doesn't always go the way you want. And Super Mario 64 is home to one of the longest running secrets in gaming history. This door that couldn't be opened. You could only exit the cabin after jumping in the roof, and then you'd be locked out forever. Now, normally no one would really care, but every door in the game opens both ways except this one. And after almost 30 years, the community worked together to open it to see if they could explore the cabin in a different way. Once they finally got it working and opened it up, nothing was inside. However, fans didn't care. They were just insanely happy to get it open, something players 30 years ago thought was impossible. But now we gotta talk about Halo 5. This game was hiding an insane secret that no one knew about for 6 years. One of the devs went to Twitter and claimed that he had put a Halo Kart co-op racing mode inside of the campaign. Now, obviously this sounded amazing, so the community rushed to find it. Yet, for some reason, they still couldn't figure it out. So this made the dev post again with even more clues, and he even turned a hint into a poem. Players immediately rushed back in, figured out the steps, and finally unlocked Halo Kart.
3, 2, 1, go!
Now imagine being a parent and buying your kid Nicktoons Attack of the Toy Bots. I mean, this has to be family friendly, right? Well, if you check out the box for Mr. Huggles, it straight up says, "I'll hug you and kill you. You'll never sleep again. I'll kill your parents." Yeah, that's pretty shocking for a Nick title, but Splatoon doesn't threaten to wipe out your parents. It just has a secret insult for anyone too curious. Nintendo is known for being super family friendly. Well, that's until you learn to read Inkling. This ain't a bunch of gibberish. The text on Gelfonzo's shirt actually translates to you. Now, what about Spider-Man, one of the most kid-friendly franchises out there? Well, in the original from 2000, you could enter whatever you want into the cheat menu. Usually they would just be rejected if they don't work, but for anyone who starts throwing swear words in here, they'll get a personal message from Spidey himself.
Come on, man.
The only problem, this kinda only encourages kids to try more bad words. However, there is nothing innocent about the messed up Easter egg in Psychonauts. This is one of those games that looks like it was made for kids, but then you look back on it as an adult and you realize, damn, that was super dark at times. And this is especially true when you go inside of Malia's head. There are plenty of rooms in here that are innocent memories, until you find the traumatic one. The happy music stops, and you get to watch as she remembers her own orphanage burning down, unable to save any of the kids. And then, you get a warning about the chest in the corner.
Now you definitely don't want to go in there. That's a party killer right there.
Now, we probably should have listened to that warning, because hiding inside the chest are souls of the children begging for help. But what about when the game itself is haunted? Pokemon X and Y are hiding an unsolved mystery in Lumio City, and it still terrifies kids to this day. Inside of the fighting dojo, you can head into the elevator and pick a floor. If you choose the second one and then step out, things get supernatural.
For the ghost? What ghost? Ooh, a spooky ghost? Uh-oh. What the hell is this? What the? Oh my god, that's creepy. What the hell is that all about? Why'd you guys make me do that?
Not only does she have no walking animations, she also has no explanation. The game is 12 years old, and to this day, Game Freak has never explained the mystery of the Ghost Girl. And that's not the only time Nintendo freaked out their audience. More recently in Animal Crossing's New Horizons, fans stayed up all night decorating their island, only for something terrifying to happen. If it's a Saturday night at 3:33 a.m., every single television on the island will be taken over. And while that was pretty creepy, it doesn't compare to the disturbing Easter egg in Scooby-Doo Escape from Coulsonia. Now sure, Scooby-Doo is all about hunting down monsters and solving supernatural mysteries, but it is never as terrifying as what's hiding inside of this Egyptian tomb. If you find the crowbar and crack it open, you'll immediately regret it. Now, you won't get a heart attack from Banjo-Tooie, but you will get the most inappropriate level design. In Pterodactyland, one of the steps towards Mumbo's skull are pretty weirdly shaped. You can't quite put your finger on it, and it's not until you actually look at this whole thing from the sky that you realize, oh no. As for Despicable Me, usually Gru is one of those lovable villains who comes around to be the hero. Well, that's if you stay on his good side. If you abandon him and just go AFK, Gru will take this personally.
You see the pause button, use it sometime. The level isn't going to finish itself, you know.
But I get a different kind of whiplash with Easter eggs like this one from Runner 2. This is a super popular platformer from back in the day, and it was full of unique levels. Except, I don't think any kids expected to look in the background and spot the most terrifying villain of 2013. On like 8 separate occasions, you could see Slender Man himself watching you play the game. He even gets super close to you at some parts. And while that's unsettling on its own, what happens if you finish the level with a perfect score? Well, all you have to do is refuse to shoot yourself out of the cannon, and Slender Man will end the level himself. Now, you may argue that some of these secrets are less disturbing than others, but I'm about to shock you with one of the most disgusting and horrifying parts of your favorite kids game. While you're running around enjoying the innocence of Bikini Bottom, I'll let you in on a little secret. Those strange purple palm trees? Well, the trunk is made of real-life poop. One of the devs straight up admitted this on Twitter, saying, "The texture for the palm tree fronds? It's actual feces." Taking things back to Animal Crossing, they've always had an incredible feature that lets you collect real-life paintings for your own town. You can even choose to put them in a museum, except there's a chance you accidentally buy a fake and that they won't accept it. Now, usually the telltale signs are obvious for anyone familiar, but some of them are really subtle. And this is also where things get strange. Some of these fake paintings will be haunted. There's a chance you walk up to your new piece of art and notice it's blinking when you're not looking. Yeah, thanks. I didn't plan on sleeping at night anyway. And yet for Nintendo, things like this are considered tame, because they've been terrifying kids for almost 30 years now. Back in 1998, the Game Boy Camera released and was meant to be a brand new revolutionary piece of tech that let you turn your console into a portable camera. However, it wasn't long before kids realized there was something creepy about this. Inside of the menu, you'll see usual options like shooting a photo or magic editing, but the one that really stands out is Run. Pressing it will take you to a map of Africa, which is already weird, but keep doing this over and over again, and a random guy will appear asking you one simple question.
Who are you running from?
Nintendo really needs to chill out. I mean, there's some Easter eggs they added which were so disturbing, they had to cut them from the actual game. In Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door, there's a room in someone's house which only exists in the Japanese version. Walking inside, you'll find a total crime scene with blood on the floor and the outline of a dead toad. Yeah, this had no business being in a kid's game, so when they brought it to the US, it was removed. And that's not the only time Nintendo had to censor themselves for a Western audience. In the OG Japanese version of Mario Party 2, there was a minigame where you could duel each other as cowboys, and yet, what's that? They were using actual revolvers, something you would never see in modern-day Mario. Now, of course, this would later be changed because parents didn't want their 5-year-olds to shoot each other. It's not like Sega is any less innocent, though. In Sonic CD, you could press down, 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 left, right, A on the main menu, and it would pop up a secret developer one for testing sound effects. Now, kids quickly went through them all, until they got to the numbers 46, 12, 25. Then, they'd have the most frightening experience of their lives. Sometimes you sit back and ask yourself, what was going through the dev's mind when they added this to a kid's game? And that question is more relevant than ever when talking about the original Ratchet & Clank. Look, I know all the games have literally been titled after innuendos, so that should be the first warning sign for parents not to buy this for their kids. And yet, the first game had no signs it would be inappropriate, only for players to hop in and discover this alien girl. For some odd reason, if you jump in front of her, her chest will get bigger with every jump.
That's kind of ridiculous. Oh my god.
And I think the last place I was expecting to find something inappropriate for kids is in a Mario Kart game. Yeah, I'm not joking. In both Double Dash and Mario Kart Wii, there is a super questionable rock on Peach Beach. Now, 99% of people drove straight past this without ever second guessing it. But look at it for more than like 2 seconds, and you'll struggle to see how this was even approved. Actually, when you look deep into Mario Kart's history, you'll find some dark secrets. In the Japanese version of the game, your characters would celebrate their win in the most inappropriate way. Yeah, it's easy to see why this was banned from the North American version. Now, most of these Easter eggs have flown under the radar because parents haven't really been angry over them. Well, that's not the case for Tiger Woods 99. The PlayStation disc for this game had to be taken off shelves for a single file called ZZ Dummy. All it took was a curious mom to pop the disc into a PC instead of a PlayStation, where she then would discover this was a VHS recording of the first ever episode of South Park. Obviously, no one was supposed to find this. I mean, why would you even put it into your laptop? Yet, this simple mistake caused Tiger Woods to be recalled for over 100,000 copies. Ouch. But what about when developers scare kids on purpose? Well, in the original Animal Crossing, you could have 2 towns saved on separate memory cards. And the craziest part, it would even let you travel between them by train. Except, if you tried to reload your save while on the train, Nintendo would not appreciate you trying to break the console. So the second you step off the platform, you'll quickly notice you've been punished with the most horrifying face. And not even Kirby is safe from Nintendo's inappropriate antics. In Dreamland 2, one of the levels seems relatively normal. After all, you're just making your way down each platform without really thinking about it. Yet, no one ever stopped to look at the shapes you're stepping on. If you zoomed all the way out to view the whole level, it would quickly dawn on you that this has no right being in a kid's game.
What is that?
Hey, at least no one straight up dies though, right? Well, Yokai Watch 3 begs to differ. When you're on Hazy Lane, you start to hallucinate, and the camera even turns upside down. Except, it's not the camera. The entire map just flipped except you. Yeah, you can literally spot NPCs clinging on for dear life before fatally losing their grip. Honestly, that one's kinda dark. Moving on to a lighter note, we have one of the most famous inappropriate updates to any kids game. In 2018, Fortnite released a new season which included this skin, Calamity. But players quickly noticed she had a unique feature. It had been completely hidden from the patch notes, but for some reason, Calamity had jiggle physics.
Oh my god, chat. Are you serious?
As soon as this was pointed out, Epic rushed to delete it, publicly claiming it was an unintended feature. Apparently, these physics were simply an embarrassing mistake, and nobody knows how it happened. Except, this was something that was programmed into the game and left there, with some fans thinking it was a joke by a dev that accidentally made it into the public build. But their competitor Roblox also has some disturbing moments. Sure, most of the games on here are made by other players, yet the creepiest part is hidden in the official admin commands. In the early days, kids found out about commands like I love you and always watching, which would immediately haunt you with this video. And this is where things get even crazier. If you type the word kidnap into the console, an entire ice cream truck full of clowns would actually show up. And yeah, they would kidnap you, driving you to a strange building, and then dumping you in the middle of nowhere. Do you remember where you were on April 4th, 2013? It was the day gaming Easter eggs changed forever.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, Battlefield added the Megalodon, something so iconic it got me thinking, what is the greatest video game Easter egg from every year? And Expedition 33 has a pretty serious tone, but did you know there's an Easter egg that's the opposite? After completing Gestral Ascension, you can head to the beach where you'll find a bunch of platforms going up to the sky. Now you probably already guessed it, but the whole thing is a reference to Only Up, and it is pretty difficult to climb just like the actual game. But make your way to the very top, and you'll be rewarded with an extremely rare outfit. And over in Battlefield 2042, fans spotted a sign that warned them of sharks in the water. Now, nothing could be spotted, making us realize this might be the first step of a classic Easter egg. Searching around, they discovered multiple laptops you could actually pick up that would teleport to the shark sign. And in true Battlefield tradition, it wasn't done there. Now you had to activate these in a secret order, then finally make 3 sacrifices to the ocean. All of this effort would unleash the one, the only, Sharknado.
What the hell is even that?
While exploring Kobo and Jedi Survivor, you could find a cave that seems normal until you take a closer look and realize that's an invisible hole in the wall. It is just one of the game's many shortcuts, but usually these get you to an area quicker, whereas this one completely trolls the player. It forces you to cram yourself down a corridor for 5 straight minutes. And your reward for doing this? The world's strangest art class.
Interesting.
What the hell,
Horizon Forbidden West has a mysterious axe stuck in a tree, and if you scan it, you could follow this invisible path towards a secret totem. Here you'll find the man himself, Kratos, hiding in the snow, but it goes way further than this. There are 2 other totems belonging to Atreus alongside Brock and Sindri. Once you've collected them all, you'll unlock an exclusive item, the God of War face paint.
Nice.
Another secret is the touching tribute around the Isle of Sea of Thieves. There are over 22 journals scattered in the world, and they belong to a pirate known as Glitterbeard. Reading through them, you'll learn about how he appreciates nature, kindness, and life at the sea. Only the most dedicated players were able to track them all down, and with only one remaining, they were told to head to Plunder Valley. Here, there was now a tree covered in bottles, and it was impossible to activate on your own. In order to proceed, 7 other players had to join in and celebrate the life of Glitterbeard. Now, they all had to play instruments in the right locations, triggering the most beautiful Easter egg of 2021. Entering the cave, they finally got their hands on the last journal, learning that Glitterbeard was the nickname of a real person, James White. He was a developer that worked at Rare, who sadly passed away in 2020. Thanks to this Easter egg, his co-workers made sure he would live on forever. And speaking of 2020, this was the year Modern Warfare got a reboot. And while many things were different, one tradition remained the same: teddy bears. Whenever people see these in Call of Duty, they immediately shoot them. And on the Isle 9 map, this would lead to a hilarious Easter egg. Yeah, this was an amazing roast to all those people who stashed toilet paper during lockdown. And it wasn't the only FPS to surprise players. Apex Legends fans noticed there were a ton of adorable toys on the map resembling the Loch Ness Monster. And even better, you could shoot these little guys, causing the kill feed to say a Nessie appears. Wipe out every single toy on the map, and it'll turn from a plushie to the real thing.
A Nessie surfaces. There he is!
Oh, bro.
Look at him! Yeah, we did it, dude.
Kinda reminds me of the greatest video game weapon of 2018. Battlefield 5 had these strange boxes on the map that pointed you in a certain direction. Now, of course, following these would lead you to a secret dig site. And as we all know, X marks the spot.
Oh, yeah.
Pow! 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 Pow!
2017 is the year gaming changed forever with Breath of the Wild, and hiding inside this world, you could find a man who made the vision possible. Satoru Iwata passed away in 2015, and at the time, Nintendo were in the middle of making a new Zelda. Now obviously, this was a monumental loss for the industry, and Breath of the Wild's director said, "There were moments we'd come up with an idea which we'd be excited to talk to Iwata about, but then we remember he was no longer here." So when the game finally released 2 years later, it was only right to include a tribute to Iwata in the form of an NPC. He has the exact same haircut and glasses, with his quest description saying, "This holy creature is a reincarnation of a sage that died on the lands it now protects. It's sometimes known by its other name, Satori." Now, if you didn't know, Satori is derived from the name Sataru, easily making this the best Easter egg of 2017. But what about when developers want to pay tribute to their humble beginnings? Well, Uncharted 4 has an extremely hidden item that shocked players. By swinging into this small crevice, you could pick up the Wumpa Fruit from Crash Bandicoot. And yeah, it's even back in its full pixelated glory. But there was an Easter egg in 2015 that nobody discovered until 8 years later. The developers of The Witcher 3 kept claiming nobody had found their last secret. And it wasn't until 2022 when Latalis finally uncovered it. It all revolves around this character, Vivian, a woman who is slowly transforming into a bird due to a curse. Now, once you get to the end of her quest line, there is an option to cure her, but unfortunately, there's a problem.
The changes will be irreversible. You'll probably also only have 7 years left to live, at the most.
Little did we know, he was not kidding. If you return to Vivian after 7 real-life years, you could watch as she drops dead on the spot. Huh? Now, the Talos Principle is known for its secrets, but the strangest one is hiding behind this door. At first it says entry denied, and if the stamp looks familiar, that's because it's from the iconic indie game Papers, Please. Most people would just walk away after this, yet if you come back after finding the approved stamp, the door will unlock. This sends you miles underground to a secret theater, and here you'll find the real developers waiting for a movie to start. And yeah, there is a movie. The Fox and Star Wars parodies aside, you could just sit here and watch an actual short film where the main character is revealed to be Serious Sam. Now we're in 2013, and its greatest Easter egg is one of the most iconic in gaming history. I'm of course talking about Battlefield 4's Megalodon. The community spent actual months trying to discover how to activate this, and when they finally learned the secret, we were all blown away.
Oh, there it is!
Yeah, it still might not be as famous as the year before it, when Minecraft took over the world. Not only was it the game of 2012, it had an Easter egg that's still iconic to this day. All you had to do was simply rename a mob to Dinnerbone. Over in The Witcher 2, fans are still laughing at this guy who faceplanted straight into the floor. This was an obvious jab to Assassin's Creed's Leap of Faith, with the devs clearly roasting the idea, showing exactly what would happen if you tried it. Personally, I love how the devs at Just Cause 2 designed an entire region on the map to be an Easter egg. You can't fly over here and scout the area, because your plane will immediately explode in the air.
Hey, what happened?
Now you're stranded, stuck on this mysterious island and terrified of huge forests. Seems familiar, right? Especially when you find things like this hatch in the ground, or an immortal figure that's followed by smoke. By now, it should be pretty obvious the whole island's a reference to Lost. Arkham Asylum made waves across the world when it came out, and people were already desperate for a sequel. If only they knew what was hiding in the warden's office. If you sprayed explosive gel at this exact spot on the wall, it would reveal a secret room. And inside were plans for a giant prison in North Gotham known as Arkham City. Yeah, the announcement for the next game was hiding in here all along, and there was even concept art. But I have to award the best Easter egg of 2008 to World at War, for one reason. It turned into the most successful tradition in Call of Duty history. And yes, I'm talking about zombies. This entire mode was literally just a post-credits Easter egg, and fans loved it so much it spawned a whole genre. And another secret can be found hiding in Halo 3's title screen. This one took 9 years to discover, because it could only be done on a single day, December 25th. When pressing down both sticks on the controller, text appears saying "Happy Birthday, Lauren." A super sweet message from a developer to his wife. Hitman Blood Money remains one of the best games in the franchise for a reason. The levels are full of secrets, like the Opera Theater's basement. Down here, you can find 3 rats, and anyone who's freaked out by rodents risks blowing their cover just to shoot them. Instead of getting caught though, they were given a key card instead. It allowed them to get into this hidden locked door, getting access to the exclusive Rat Lounge. Here they play poker, eat pizza, drink soda, and even bet on their own fight club. Early in Resident Evil 4's story, you can discover a dog stuck in a bear trap. Saving him is the obvious thing to do, but what players did not expect was the dog to return the favor in a late-game boss fight.
Hey, it's that dog.
But I couldn't make this video without talking about the absolute classic Easter egg in San Andreas. If you grab a jetpack and make your way to the top of the Golden Gate Bridge, all you'll find is a simple message. LOL. Over in the Sands of Time, you could find an Easter egg without even starting the game. On the main menu, you could do a specific series of jumps and weapon moves to enter a secret level. The entire thing is an homage to the very first Prince of Persia, and you can even find artifacts along the way like this sword. Once you make it to the end, you'll find a room filled with alcohol, cigarette boxes, and a huge painting on the wall. A sweet love letter from the developers to you, the Easter egg hunters. But what about when a secret falls right into your lap? Well, players can explore the land of Morrowind and suddenly find a wizard falling from the sky.
RPG elements back. Oh my god. What the hell is that? Wow. What?
Now, you could just ignore him and mind your own business, but everyone is curious enough to loot this guy. On his corpse, you'll find a spell that gives you a super jump. Okay, so it doesn't take a genius to figure out why this wizard fell to his death. But as always, players just feel like he did it wrong. Surely we'll be able to use it wisely, right? In 2001, we were treated to Silent Hill 2, and fans quickly realized there were a ton of endings. What no one expected, though, was the true story to appear once you found all of them. With the game beaten 4 separate times, you'd finally get the grand reveal. Bruh. Yeah, a dog was controlling everything. Considering the story of Silent Hill 2, this might be the most evil dog in video games. But Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 gave us the first mind-blowing Easter egg of the millennium, and you could only find this if you beat the entire game and collected every tape. With all of this complete, you can now arguably play as the best skater in the world, Spider-Man. It was pretty insane for the time. But now we're in 1999, where the first Silent Hill game took the world by storm. As you know by now, they're pretty good at secret endings, and even the first game had one. If you replayed the whole story and used the channeling stone in 5 different locations, you'd get abducted. What? $1998 was the year everything changed for gamers, because Metal Gear Solid was able to break the 4th wall. Yeah, during the Psycho Mantis boss fight, he would literally read your memory card and call out what games you were playing.
Oh, you like Suikoden. So, you like Azure Dreams? You like Castlevania, don't you? I can read you like an open book.
And the only way to defeat Psycho Mantis was to physically move your controller to a different port so it would block his mind-reading powers. It was pretty insane. And it was here in the late 90s that classic video game characters started to make a name for themselves, like Lara Croft. Now, gamers were so thirsty that when they heard Tomb Raider 2 had a naked cheat code, they rushed to do it. Stepping forwards, backwards, forwards, 3 rotates, and then finally a jump. What they expected was her clothes to come off, and what they got was... But instead of trolling their fans, the developers of Resident Evil decided to thank them. Back in 1996, the first game was actually called Biohazard, and there was a secret for only the most dedicated players. If you completed the entire game with invisible enemies turned on and did it in under 5 hours, you would get a personal thank you letter from the game's director. Thank you for taking the time to play all the way through Biohazard. If you're reading this letter, I salute you. You are truly a remarkable player. Please allow me to express our gratitude and congratulate you on a job well done. Now, throughout the 90s, we had a ton of Star Wars games, including Dark Forces. In one of the levels, you could use the invincibility cheat to jump off the edge of the map. Once you've survived the fall, you can now type in a cheat to climb up walls and enter a hidden room. Most players had no idea, but there's an even deeper secret room hiding inside of here. All you had to do was press the action button and open the door, revealing a chained-up Ewok. He's looking a little desperate to escape, but if you're even crazier than him, you could straight up wipe him out. In 1994, the team behind Doom 2 added a secret that changed the idea of a final boss forever. At the end of the game, you come up against the Icon of Sin, and once you've defeated him, congratulations, you've beaten the game. But while that's how the story's supposed to end, what nobody realized is that there's an Easter egg that can only be found using cheats. If you no-clip through the enemy's face, you'll discover the severed head of John Romero, the co-creator of Doom. Now, this might sound like gibberish, but if you reverse the audio, it's revealed to be John's own voice.
To win the game, you must kill me, John Romero.
And that's not the only creator to get reversed. In Mortal Kombat 2, you could get 25 wins in a row, letting you unlock a secret enemy, Noob Saibot. Well, if you reverse the letters in this guy's name, it spells out Tobias Boone. The surnames of John Tobias and Ed Boon, the creators of Mortal Kombat. Hiding on the 7th floor of Wolfenstein 3D, you can unlock a secret door that takes you straight to an unknown level. Okay, that was a pretty easy level, right? Huh? Wait, what? Get psyched. Now we're on the 10th floor and we're stuck in a 3D Pac-Man room.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
And games in the 90s seriously loved their secret rooms, especially Link to the Past. If Link's location was on screen in a certain position, and he changed screens using Pegasus boots, the game would now put you in a mysterious room full of rupees. And if you read the sign, you'd see, "My name is Chris Houlihan. This is my top secret room. Keep it between us, okay?" Now, you're probably wondering, who in the world is Chris Houlihan? Well, turns out, before the game released, Nintendo Power Magazine ran a contest. And the grand prize for the winner, getting your name put in a hidden room. In 1990, The Secret of Monkey Island released, and this was developed by Lucasfilm, the creator of Star Wars and Indiana Jones. So in fitting fashion, there's a moment where you can go into a voodoo shop, pick up a cup, and accidentally turn into the man himself.
Huh? I'm not Indy. Or am I?
Not the only hidden cameo. Tetris for the NES had some incredible secrets that only appeared if you beat a 9 difficulty level in B-Type. Once you completed it, a bunch of Nintendo characters would show up just to congratulate you. 1988's Kung Fu Master is just a side-scroller that lets you kick and punch people. I mean, it's in the name. However, if you press Shift-G while facing left, then this happens. But did you know that the original Metroid game had an insane secret ending? Samus is one of Nintendo's iconic female characters, yet if you beat the game in under an hour, you'd see a little too much fan service.
Oh my god!
Over in the OG Legend of Zelda, there wasn't a ton hiding in game, but there was one familiar face for Nintendo fans. A lot of players believe the boss Manhandla is directly inspired by the Piranha Plans from Mario, but it still wasn't as iconic as the most famous cheat code of all time. 1985's Gradius was way too difficult during development, to the point where one of the devs had to make a cheat code to give himself all the power-ups. Except, when the game actually released, it was still left in there. And once players discovered you could hit up, up, down, down, left, right, BA, the Konami code changed gaming forever. Even as far back as Sky Fox, we had secret combos. If you hit Control G while flying, you would unlock a secret Space Invaders level. In 1983, Disney's Atari game The Sorcerer's Apprentice rewarded you for scoring exactly 10,000 points. If you hit this number or a multiple of it, the stars of the sky would turn into letters spelling out PCN. These are the initials of programmer Peter C. Nide. And while we're on the topic of Atari, the year before had introduced Pitfall, a massive game for the console. It was also one of the first video games in history to have hidden shortcuts to skip through levels. This decision was made all the way back in 1982, and it is still influencing games to this day. But what about the original Donkey Kong? This game included an Easter egg that no one discovered for decades. It got to the point where the programmer who added it told people there was a secret, but even he forgot how to unlock it. This led to them putting out a bounty for anyone who could discover it, and in 2009, the mystery was finally solved. Simply set a high score and have it include the numbers 3 and 7 next to each other. Then lose your final life by falling. Next, you had to set the difficulty to maximum and then wait until the end of the demo. After all of this, you could return to the title screen and find the initials LMD. The name of the programmer who added it, Landon Dyer. This was hiding in one of the most famous arcade games, and it took 26 years to find. But what about the very first Easter egg? Well, back in 1980, Atari wouldn't allow developers to credit themselves in games. So this led Warren Robinette to take matters into his own hands. He was secretly going to hide his name in Adventure for the Atari. Now, if you did all of these insanely convoluted steps, you could walk straight through the wall and find the very first Easter egg in video game history, created by Warren Robinette. And those were the best secrets from 2025 all the way to 1980. But it's time we move on to some that made players straight up quit. Discovering an Easter egg in your favorite game can be a thrilling experience, but SWAT 3 uses this to psychologically mess with you. Now, as a SWAT team, you're meant to clear out every single room, and that even includes the creepy secret under the stairs. I absolutely hate spiders in video games, so if this happened to me, I would have quit instantly. Although a hidden feature you'd never want to find is in Black Ops 4 Zombies. Noah J's chat told him how to find it, and he followed every step carefully, but I guess there's some Easter eggs you should leave untouched. Nope. Now, over in Metal Gear Solid 2, there's a ridiculous secret that punishes you for being a jerk. If you shoot a ton of seagulls for fun, not only are you a psycho, but the game makes sure you know it. You're labeled as a monster, and even your girlfriend calls to break up with you. And unless you apologize to her, you're literally not allowed to save the game, forcing you to quit. Just stop with the shooting seagulls, you maniac. But you can't escape the most terrifying secret in years. There's an indie horror game called Psycho no Satoka where you must survive the wrath of a killer. Usually you have no idea where she's gonna appear until you go into the bathroom and look in the mirror, revealing that she's been behind you every waking moment. And if this next secret happened to me, I would never play We Love Katamari again. One of the hardest collectibles in the game are roses, and it counts exactly how many you've picked up. You can actually reach 1 million roses, and it takes a ridiculous amount of time. If you're wondering, the world record for doing this is 19 18 hours and 25 minutes, so imagine the average time to do it. It could take literally weeks. For all of this effort, the King of the Cosmos appears, and your reward for collecting 1,000,000 flowers is... Wait, that's it? Come on. I'd immediately quit and move on to another game, maybe something like Doki Doki Literature Club. At the start, you can name your character, and some people write their username or make up a new one entirely. But if they lie about their identity, they'll be caught off guard by a shocking secret. Near the end, Monica scans your PC and uses it to find out your real name.
Or do you actually go by GT Live or something?
Is it reading our Steam account? That is so terrifying. So terrifying.
And another thing you'll be afraid of is Skyrim's hidden boss battle. You can only find this guy if you obtain his skull from a cave, take it to the castle ruins, and then place it on the throne. Now you'll summon Karstag, a ghost giant who's one of the most difficult secret bosses in gaming history. Okay, maybe not all of us would have given up there, but some Easter eggs literally force you to quit. Break through this hole in Goat Simulator, and you'll be led to the game's server room. Now, considering you're a goat, there's really only one option here, and that's to break everything, but be warned, destroying the servers literally crashes the game. And speaking of breaking the fourth wall, the Colonel from Metal Gear Solid 2 was able to trick millions. At any point in the game, you can receive a call from him, but there's a moment when he appears on screen and demands you turn off the console right now. He sounds pretty serious, which led to people panicking and actually turning off their systems.
Power right now.
Got him! And somehow the Stanley Parable goes even further. It makes you leave and never come back. The developers had an achievement called Go Outside, and you can only get this if you, well, get a life. It actually tracks your playtime, and if you go 5 years without opening the game, you'll get the achievement. And the best part is the next-gen update added a trophy called Super Go Outside that you can only get after quitting for a decade. Although players quit the Watson-Scott test for a more sinister reason. Now, this was a simple indie game that came out in 2018, but it immediately went viral because of how invasive it was. The test would ask questions that implied someone was inside your house and that you left your door unlocked. And the breaking point for most people like Corey Kenshin was when the game asked this. Okay, maybe you just hate horror games in general, and if so, why are you playing Amnesia? Anyone could start up a new save, watch the first cutscene, and realize, hey, this game's just too much for me. Only for a secret achievement to pop up when you quit, saying exactly what we were all thinking. Nope. And one of the craziest Easter eggs will humiliate you into quitting. I'm serious, if you visit this locked building in Deathloop and listen through the door, it is so inappropriate that any player would rush to turn off the console. Huh? In fact, most of you guys probably just ran to mute this video, and if that's the case, you can unmute now. Now, if you've played High on Life, you definitely know about the Douglas bounty, but there's more to this than you might realize. While going after him, he tells you to wait for an hour to prove yourself, and of course, you can sneak through the wall and continue. But for those who are really curious, they'd actually wait the whole hour just for the door to break.
Hello again. If you're seeing this video, it means the door got stuck. So we're sending a guy to fix it. He'll be there in a week or whatever.
Okay, what, a whole week? Yeah, most of us would have given up here, and even the devs didn't expect you to go through with it. After waiting all 7 days, the door finally opens, and nothing's inside. What an amazing troll. But even if you wanted to quit Shrek Extra Large, the devs wouldn't let you. In the GameCube version, anyone who no-clips out of the map can discover an incredible Easter egg. After falling into the void, you'll respawn into a 1-to-1 replica of a GameCube. They designed this with exact proportions, which is honestly pretty cool until you realize you're trapped here. There is absolutely no way out, and they even disabled the pause menu. You're literally soft locked just for finding this Easter egg, and the only way to escape is by turning off your console. Now, when you think of LEGO Star Wars games, it's mostly kids and nostalgic adults that play them, and trust me, I'm one of them. But I will say, this secret room in Tatooine is terrifying for everyone. As you walk inside, this creepy droid appears. This is Nobot, who's canonically a serial killer, and this appearance is enough to make any kid scream and quit out of fear. But some Easter eggs are straight up trolls, though. Saints Row 4 is all about making fun of the player, so when you find this frozen door, you can lick the candy cane to unlock it. Only problem is, it takes forever. As you progress along, the game sends you some motivating messages until they begin to insult you. You should give up. This is going to take a while. Don't you have other things to do? Well, I guess not, because when you lick the cane away, the final blow is delivered.
It's locked.
And that's not the only game to prank players into quitting. Detroit Become Human lets you talk to Chloe in the main menu, and most things she says are totally harmless. Well, that's unless you're lucky enough to hear the bad news.
I think your saved game is corrupted. Just kidding.
And I won't lie, I love Assassin's Creed 2, but its secret item is infuriating. Finding all the feathers around the map is already difficult, and you've got to track down 100 of them to unlock your brother's hidden cape. Now, we all love a stylish cloak, except if you want to enjoy your reward, good luck. Wearing this thing causes every guard in the game to swarm you on sight. I mean, at least have the courtesy to insult us to our face like Styx does. In Shards of Darkness, you're gonna die a bunch of times, and for each death Styx appears, it will constantly roast you.
Using the controller with your feet's not gonna gain you an achievement, right? Dead again? Is that your controller in your pocket, or are you just pleased to see me?
If you're already prone to rage quitting, these insults will likely be the final straw. But if you're someone who quits out of fear, then stay away from Zombie Army 4. The final objective in Don't Tap the Glass asks you to simply escape the aquarium. That's cool, sounds easy. Simply head through this door, just stay away from the painting next to it.
What is this creepy bleeding? Ah! Oh my god, what the hell?
Alright guys, I am totally cooked from all those Easter eggs. I'm gonna go ahead and pass it off to Tommy for the rest of them.
I normally speedrun my way through video games, but every so often I come across a gem, like a hole in the wall you put a grenade into. It's not a quest or a mission, something genuinely added for fun. You know, waterfalls you'd walk behind when you were a kid. And the first step of discovering that brings us to Celico, because it turns out once you break into the bank vault, there's a secret room. Take a look at the safety deposit boxes and they'll reveal this hidden opening full of corridors, except nobody was expecting someone else to be down there.
Let's play another game.
Okay, who could that be? Well, that's when you turn the corner and find a teddy bear. Oh, pretty cute, he even wants a hug.
I'm Teddy 11. Do you want to play? Give me a hug. You're very special.
Might seem like a lighthearted Easter egg, but you won't believe what happens if you hug him too many times.
Am I speaking a different language here? Cut it out. How's this for a fair hug? You just don't listen, do you?
Dead Space, it's a pretty horrifying game, so when players walked into this room with the summoning circle on the ground, I mean, yeah, you know, it's an average day on the Dead Space ship. It looked like a decoration and a ton of people just walked out, continued exploring, except if you looked really closely at this circle, you would see hands and footprints on the ground. Wasn't long before they realized they were staring at a puzzle of melees and stomps. Yet I don't think anyone knew where this was going.
There once was a ship from the CECD, Ishimura USG. She crack 'em boom with gravity. Go me, boy, go, huh.
Okay, so a sea shanty, it's pretty surprising, but I can guarantee you will never see this next Easter egg coming. There's a game called Vladik Brutal, and you basically just go through the game wiping out creepy mutant monsters. But if you go into one of the restrooms, you'll find the weirdest character of all. Don't ask how I learned this, but you need to fire at every single toilet until eventually... What about a secret that's so hard to find you couldn't possibly figure out what your reward is? Well, in Nier Automata, there was an Easter egg which took almost 4 years to discover, and it turns out it was sitting in the first boss room the whole time. Lance McDonald spent thousands of hours trying to find this game's final secret, and after so much effort, he realized it was actually pretty simple. Once you beat the opening boss, you just stand between these two barrels and input the platinum code from Bayonetta 2. Your reward is straight up skipping from the prologue to the end credits, like it takes seconds to do it.
The cheat code will work, and the screen will fade to black. With this activated, the game will skip all the way to the post-credits scene of the final ending.
Crime Scene Cleaner is basically a game for the people who want a chill experience like House Flipper, but they crave something more gross. Well, even though you are literally washing up the aftermath of murders in this game, it's still pretty straightforward. Except that's until you find an Easter egg that has a terrifying turn. In the security room of the art museum, you'll find these colored monitors which are basically begging you to solve the puzzle, and once you've done so, a secret room reveals itself. Oh cool, a new collectible. But wait, it's actually a whole new game.
You
I don't think anyone realized they could be a Marvel villain in God of War. In fact, this Easter egg has been sitting in people's inventory. They had no idea it existed. Throughout the game, you can find a talisman called the Shattered Gauntlet of Ages, which doesn't stand out at all, except you could upgrade it by finding enchantment runes. As you progress, you'll notice that these runes all have a theme: space, time, power, mind, reality, so you get the deal. Long story short, you're basically gathering all the Infinity Stones from Avengers for your very own Infinity Gauntlet. Now, Expedition 33 has taken the world by storm, but if you want to appreciate the developers that made it happen, all you need to do is find this secret room. In the Manor's kitchen, rotate these 3 objects to reveal a hatch in the floor. Then make your way through the crack in the wall, and it'll lead you to this. Yeah, it's everyone who worked on the game, including Sandfall's office dog, Monaco. He's even listed on their website as their official happiness manager, so I want to know how I could get a job here too. That's not even the best way you can find Monaco in the game. They straight up added a Mario 64 style painting that you could jump through. Yeah, now you've found Monaco's office. It is full of paintings of him and even has a cozy looking dog bed. One of the most hidden Easter eggs in Dying Light 2 has an ending you probably never expect. You see, around the open world, there are 5 black rubber ducks that, they seem pretty innocent until you discover the altar room in the basement. Dun dun dun. There's a whole ritual going on here, and you can contribute to it yourself by placing all 5 ducks on the table. Then you need to attach cables to each other across the room, and players quickly figured out there's only one shape you can make when summoning a demon: a pentagram. So with the shape complete, it was time for the ritual. They're summoning demons, but who would fight them afterwards? Well, no one expected Doomslayer. Speaking of Doom, in Dark Ages you could find a ton of collectible toys, but none of them have a special animation except for one. When you find Doomslayer, you'll hear a reference to the OG game. On the topic of killing hordes, Black Ops Zombies, they're pretty much known for their Easter eggs, like it's the whole thing at this point, yet they're usually grand stories with tons of steps. I don't think anyone predicted a secret would be hiding in this manhole. Turns out, you throw a grenade down here and you'll hear this. So like me, most players moved on and shrugged it off as a cool detail, but this is where things take an insane turn. If you throw up to a dozen grenades down here, you'll be rewarded with more and more items, from scrap to weapons, even power-ups. And things get really unpredictable in The Evil Within 2. Let me tell you, this Easter egg is already super hard to find. You basically have to search for multiple zombies hiding under cars, and then follow them back to a house without being spotted. If you're seen, you fail the Easter egg, ruin the whole thing. Once you've got 3 zombies back to the house, then you gotta take them out with stealth skills one at a time. What happens next? Well, you should turn around.
Hopefully it gets better. A lot better.
Wasn't expecting to get a giant friend out of this, not gonna lie. But at least he's just hanging out, unlike the creepiest animal in Gears of War 3. Been a while since this game released, but in the Slab multiplayer map, you're usually way too distracted to realize this ball can roll around. Nothing special, most games do this nowadays, but if you let it across the map and into this hole in the fence, things got really weird.
Say hi to your friends for me.
And you need to step on the rat.
And speaking of multiplayer Easter eggs, Black Ops 6 has a secret that basically no one knows about. Guess I'm kind of ruining that, but the Nuketown map has been around since the day of launch, and there's an actual nuke sitting in the middle, and not many people pay attention to it, mostly because when you shoot it, nothing happens, but what if you just don't stop shooting it? And you won't believe what's hiding in the background of this shot from GTA 6's trailer. I know, maybe a little too fast right there, but for a few seconds, Jason's aiming his gun, and you can see a bunch of blurry DVDs in the store. Super hard to even tell what we're looking at here. And yet one Redditor has realized this is an Easter egg belonging to Michael from GTA 5. One of the missions in the last game lets you attend the premiere of Meltdown. It's a terrible film that he produced. Thought we'd seen the last of it, but no, I guess it's collecting dust on Vice City shelves now. Now, you can't make an Easter eggs video without talking about Hitman. On the nightclub level, once you've eliminated all the targets, don't leave. Go into the parking lot and snap a photo of this UFO. Shows up as intel, basically begs you to look into this further, and that's when players found another secret, this payphone. You could actually type numbers into the keypad, and if you write 1993, the year the movie UFO came out, you'll get a secret escape route. We're keeping up with the sci-fi theme. Borderlands, the pre-sequel, has a monolith hiding in plain sight. It's obviously a nod to 2001: A Space Odyssey. That's when I touched it, and the Easter egg goes to a completely different level. If we're talking about Easter eggs that take you by surprise, imagine how Moist Critical felt when he found a Wojak of himself in Schedule 1.
Easter egg behind Mayor's house. I've seen, people have told me, I haven't seen it in-game, but I've seen what it looks like in-game. Oh, nice, there it is. I think that looks wonderful.
Oh, actually, I guess he was pretty cool with it, but still, it's pretty awesome. At least he is sort of recognizable, but what about when you find a photo that's a total mystery? After Resident Evil 4's helicopter crash, you could look all the way in the distance and see someone staring at you. You know, the whole game is supposed to be creepy, but then players enabled NoClip for a closer look, and it's literally a 2D cutout of a random guy. Now, you have to understand, it's been 20 years, and no one knows who this is. We are no closer to solving the mystery. Fallout 4 has a terminal that contains a secret reference. 3 ramps, ladders to climb, and a boss at the top throwing obstacles. Yes, the developers recreated OG Donkey Kong and Mario. And while playing Dying Light 2, you can find this strange looking fungus. Turns out you can interact with it, and pressing it enough times teleports you here. If you guessed a Harry Potter Quidditch reference, you'd be correct, but sorta. In the description, it's called Dish Quid. There are so many locations in House Flipper that you would never expect one of them to be a horror movie. You could be scrolling through the list only to find the Myers residence. Okay, maybe a coincidence, right? I think that's the wrong movie, but this also changes every time you look away. But the weirdest part happens when you work on the yard because Michael is stalking you. Now, if you steal a bucket in Goat Simulator 3 and collect a bunch of sand, you can eventually build your own giant sandcastle. This thing is huge. But stepping inside is not what you'd expect. Instead, it's a complete replica of Dust 2 from CSGO. A little detail to appreciate are the ridiculous enemy names like Alessandro and Santa Claus. In the low gravity area of Postal Brain Damage, you can fly upwards until you're greeted by a screen. Trust me, you do not want to take no for an answer. When you reach the final screen, you can phase right through it, and your reward is Doomslayer's butt cheeks.
Those moronic developers thought they could hide this from me?
LOL! In Viscera Cleanup Detail's Overgrowth level, you can head behind the greenhouse and find a suspiciously familiar lever. So what now? Well, you gotta search around the entire map looking for something to dig until you find one rock that works. There's even an iron pickaxe for grabs. One cave you don't want to explore is in Chivalry 2. If you expected a dragon or something to come out and attack you, you guessed wrong. This is the same evil bunny from Minecraft, but technically they're both a reference to Monty Python.
Jesus Christ! I warned you!
Some Easter eggs are here to distract you from developers' embarrassing mistakes. In Cyberpunk, NPCs were super broken and just kept running into this wall.
Spare change.
So instead of fixing the issue, the devs added a giant bloodstain and a sign for platform 9 3/4, and now the NPCs try to get to Hogwarts. Fun fact, there's also a faded 6 on the wall, making this platform 69 3/4. They couldn't resist. Neither could the devs of Jazzpunk. Hidden in the telescopes, you'll find yourself in the opening scene of James Bond.
Bond.
James Bond.
While you're swimming around in Duke Nukem Forever, you can find a pocket of air with the head of an iconic character. Duke even expresses jealousy for how much better their game turned out.
Well, at least he got an ending.
In Viscera Cleanup, you gotta clean this place by throwing trash into a giant monster's mouth. Fans of Star Wars will instantly recognize this as the Sarlacc pit, which is already cool, but once you throw enough garbage down here... In Mr. Hobbs Playhouse 3, this statue has a hidden button behind it, unlocking a room that transports you to a whole other world. If the Sonic fans weren't already creeped out, the plate even spins. If you explore Shadow Warrior's caves for long enough, this stone wall leads you to an underground lake. The whole place is taken directly from the Half-Blood Prince. There's the boat, Drink of Despair, and even Dumbledore's wand, all to get a Horcrux. And let's just say Kratos would appreciate this tribute in Borderlands 3. In the Tazandir ruins, you can find a random wooden boat, which seems innocent until you get closer. Okay, it's pretty gross, but don't worry. This is a reference to Mimir from God of War. It's extra heartwarming when devs look back on their own games. Battlefield 3 has a building which seems pretty empty, but stick around for a while and you'll find a secret. Fans of Mirror's Edge will instantly recognize who owns them, Faith. Both of these games are made by DICE, so naturally they would want to pay tribute to their passion project. In fact, they love it so much that they've hid these shoes in almost every edition of Battlefield, like on top of a crane in 2042. Not the only secret in the sky. Riders Republic will take you all the way to an airport control tower to find one. On the roof, you can spot a wooden ramp, which seems pretty strange, but just stand on it for a while and... If you're getting deja vu, there's even a hay bale at the bottom, so you can take a leap of faith. If you know, you know. While playing Deus Ex, you might come across this antique store, but head down to the basement and you'll find its most valuable item. A little rude to call this an antique though. Assassin's Creed Odyssey has probably the most subtle reference I've ever seen near this waterfall. Seems pretty normal until you call your bird for a better view. Any fan of Black Panther will immediately notice this as the coronation scene from the movie. Even the tribes are wearing different colored robes. Another unexpected secret is in the Talos Principle, where you can jump down a cliff and find this small cave entrance.
Got a glow to it, hidden cave. And there it is, we've got Serious Sam.
You'd expect Han Solo to be frozen in here, but this time the devs decided to change it up with a double reference, freezing their iconic character Serious Sam instead. There's also a ridiculous cameo in Borderlands 3. As you're completing bounty missions, there's a chance you'll get to take out Wick and Wardy. Yeah, those guys.
Hey, I need a new Wardy.
Still not as insane as The Witcher 3 changing the ending of your favorite show. In one of the DLC quests, there's a prison overlooking the ocean, but wait until you get your hands on the key. This exact situation happened to Tyrion Lannister from Game of Thrones, except unlike Tyrion, this dwarf's kinda dead.
Nice idea for a prison without bars. Shame he didn't know how to fly.
In a game like Cyberpunk, it's easy to look at something like paper origami and just probably ignore it. Well, after taking the elevator to the terrace, people explored the rooftop and found this unknown NPC sitting with a bird. Okay, now the dots are starting to connect. The origami is from Blade Runner, which also explains the whole, dead bird thing. They don't just make serious Easter eggs, one of them is a hilarious throwback. There's a train tunnel, and right at the entrance you'll find a crime scene. If their names make you smirk, you probably get it, but if not, check out this conversation before the accident. Yeah, it's probably one of the most famous lines in gaming.
All we had to do was follow the damn train, CJ.
In Dying Light, players discovered a crazy secret hiding on the rooftops. They're full of chimneys, but one of them is in a green pipe belonging to an old friend. It doesn't stop there. Halfway through, there's a free item waiting for you. Yes, the devs are fans of Mario's Tanuki suit. Now let's be honest, the first place you'd expect to find a horror movie is in Zombie Army 4. I mean, come on, we all know who these guys are.
this, Danny?
If that didn't make you feel uneasy, maybe Battlefield 5 will. In the jungle, keen-eyed players saw a strange splatter on the leaves. That sound is way too familiar. It's the Predator stalking you, and now the green splatter makes sense. It's his glowing blood. Did you know, in The Uncertain, most players don't realize you could just ignore your objective. When it asks you to find an informant, just venture down this dark alleyway instead. I know it kinda seems like a bad idea, but just wait until you open up the dumpster. Someone left behind Clementine's hat from Telltale's Walking Dead. Most players will have missed that, but everyone can identify the hat in 9 Child Street. As you're exploring the house, head to the children's bedroom to find a cab you will definitely recognize. Alan Wake 2 has a town called Bright Falls, and here you'll find plenty of decorations that bring the atmosphere to life, but one of them trolls players. The environments are so detailed, they even included booths around the city that advertise Mayor Setter for re-election. They never show a photo of this guy, so most people would assume he's a character we'll never meet, and it's all for show, except the story keeps unraveling. As you listen to the radio, you can hear a local candidate claim that the mayor kills cats. It kinda makes it think this guy shouldn't have the job. On the other hand, he does sound like a convincing politician, he'll stand up for justice, and he definitely won't roll over on the issues. So let's go meet him. As you head to his campaign rally, that's when you realize this whole time, Mayor Setter is a dog.
Oh. Hello, Mayor Setter. Nice to meet you.
And with every Warzone season, the devs will throw a little Easter egg in there, and this time around, it is probably the most overpowered thing in the game. On the Fortune's Keep map, if you land on the winery and interact with the white flag, it starts an anxiety-inducing countdown. Now you gotta parkour across the rooftops and collect other white flags, all while surviving the bullets of nearby players. It's pretty stressful. With only 6 seconds between the flags, surely doing this will give you something. And don't worry, this ain't no bait and switch. For your efforts, you are handsomely rewarded.
Oh yeah, baby!
Speaking of battle royales, Fortnite's still going strong, but back in Chapter 5, players were super confused when they noticed the statue with 6 toes. You wouldn't even notice this at first glance, but once you see it, it is impossible to ignore. Little did we know this would turn out to be a reference to a classic TV show. Yeah, the statue from Lost. In the show, there was a slab of concrete with a foot that was missing a toe. Well, Fortnite decided to give the opposite foot an extra one, balancing it out to 10 total. Crazy way to hide a reference, and players were even more confused when they found chickens in the Resident Evil 4 remake, not realizing it would save their life. They're just walking around on an island, and there's a chance one of them lays a golden egg. Not sure you could pick it up, but in the original it only restored your health, so most people left this behind to save inventory space. That's until someone realized it was one of the most powerful items in the game. Turns out Salazar, a super tough boss, is allergic to these. While playing Halo 5, the last thing you'll be on the lookout for is a vending machine. Well, one of them isn't just for decoration. You could go up to it and an interact button pops up. This is where players got curious. After hitting it over and over again, they kept getting the same result until the 10th button where a surprise appeared.
Look at that. Used to play a fair bit of football in my day.
Bring it on, old man.
Go! Go, 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 go!
Over in the Talos Principle 2, being curious like that will get you punished. Players began to explore the edges of the map only to find a sign with one instruction: don't look down. Oh well, it's probably just warning us that we're really high up. Surely looking down won't be that bad. Ow! Okay, guess I won't disobey the sign next time. No matter how much you love dumpster diving, I still can't think of a reason why anyone would find this secret in Futurama the game. In the Red Light District, there's a dumpster that can be opened from either side. There's nothing in there, and most players just move on, not realizing they missed a very personal Easter egg. After opening the left lid 6 times, then the right one 2 times, back to the left one again, it tells you there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Another 6 times in the right lid, and you're almost there. Stay on target. Something's happening here, and to close it all off, just open the left dumpster a whopping 14 times. Now, nothing crazy happens until you're further in the level, opening a previously locked door called Mark. This secret room is full of severed heads belonging to the developers of the game. You can see all their names and maybe even a quote to make you laugh. This was so hidden that no one found it for over a decade, forcing one of the people in this room, Martin Gake, to post it to YouTube. Despite being a programmer on the game, even he forgot how to open the door. It was undiscovered for that long. Now, this is easily one of the strangest Easter eggs I've ever seen in a game. Brothers in Arms Hell's Highway is a regular old World War II shooter, except that I don't know how people found this. You could shoot a chimney, a pole, and a support beam, which for some reason opens a portal. This leads us to 2 secret weapons, an acid blasting saw blade launcher, and a cat that shoots lasers.
Let's see what it actually does. Well, it's a laser rifle. It's something like from the Star Wars, to be honest. And you can reload your cat. I mean, you don't see that too often in video games.
Super random, but a modern shooter called Ghost has an Easter egg that'll warm your heart. One of the developers, Neversoft, was shut down during the making of this game, so Infinity Ward left behind an amazing tribute. By shooting letters on a sign, you could spell out the word Neversoft. Those sound effects were a little familiar. They are taken straight from the Tony Hawk games, also made by Neversoft. But this gets even cooler. The secret unlocks an intel file that credits everyone who worked there and shows never before seen footage of the developers setting their logo on fire. Honestly, I'd expect that from a Hitman game, but I was surprised when I find out about this insane secret in Super Mario RPG. The latest entry is full of detail. When you find a hotel that offers you a good night's rest, it kinda seems pointless. Most players just want to continue the progress and move on, but for those who love a nap, Mario will wake up the next morning with a familiar character in the other bed.
And then when we wake up, Link will be right beside us. Nice.
Another classic franchise is Halo, and the 4th game has a hidden room full of nostalgia. It is hard to find. I mean, you gotta play the co-op mode on Legendary difficulty, go to episode 6, and shoot a speaker. It's weird steps, but your reward is a dance break with brutes. I've been playing Family Guy Back to the Multiverse since the day it released. I have great memories of this game, and yet I had no idea you could taunt, and each character has their own secret animation. Peter dances, the bird is the word. Ryan embraces his inner dog and scoots across the floor, while Stewie, well, I'll let him tell you.
What's the matter? You scared of a baby? Better be.
Well, it also turns out a baby's best friend is hiding in the bottom of Just Cause 3's ocean. Players must have been really bored, because they went diving on the seafloor and they actually found something crazy. Seems like a simple shipping container until you realize there's a box trapped inside. After pushing it away, it floats to the surface, allowing you to break it open, and I mean, come on, just some rubber ducks after all that? Well, luckily, Cyberpunk has them beat. In the Phantom Liberty update, they had binoculars around the map, something no one really paid attention to. For the hardcore players who did notice, there is one pair that reveals a red Firebird. This is actually the logo of CD Projekt Red, but it's even more in depth. By staring at this, your screen gets hacked, showing a photo of the developers waving at you. It's pretty adorable. I love when Easter eggs acknowledge the people behind games, but it's not just developers who impact us, it's also creators. In Dying Light 2, players discover this mural on the wall surrounded by flowers. It belongs to Bad Wolf Gaming, a 17-year-old YouTuber who made videos about tons of video games. Sadly, he was uploading these while battling a rare form of cancer, but it didn't stop him from bringing joy to his videos. He unboxed a copy of Dying Light from Amazon and was incredibly excited to make videos. Unfortunately, before he could showcase it on his channel, David passed away, causing his fans to reach out to the developers and get this tribute put into the sequel. Still trying to pick up my heart from the floor as we move on to another hype sequel, GTA 6. The game isn't even out yet, but Eagle Eye players have already spotted an insane secret. As Jason and Lucia break into a gas station, you can find a sticker with a man on it, and let's just say the Red Dead fans were on alert. This is a sticker of Riley Porto, a criminal from Red Dead Online who you would only know if you did bounty hunting. Now that is a hidden reference. Speaking of homages, Zombie Army 4 players are caught off guard by this mysterious wall of fairy lights. Each light belonged to a letter of the alphabet, and right behind them, the game had one clue: use your brains. As they spelled out the word, it unlocked a safe revealing a creepy upside-down girl and a flare gun. This, along with other items in the room being flipped, made it a pretty obvious reference to Stranger Things. If you've heard of Tomb Raider, chances are you already know about Winston the Butler. In the second game, everyone was more distracted by him than the actual story. Some kids were terrified of him, and others just thought he was annoying for following you around. Basically, there was only one solution to get rid of this guy: lead him to the kitchen and into the freezer. Turns out the game lets you close it, locking him in there permanently. Back then it was only implied murder, but when Tomb Raider 2 got a remaster, they took this Easter egg one step further. Here players would relive their childhood memories, locking Winston in the freezer like the good old days, except when they opened the door back up. Okay, that's a little dark. Now some secrets are hiding in plain sight and still don't get found. In Battlefield 2042, the developers had an Easter egg that everyone just walked past. This map is totally covered in ice, so you're not gonna sit there and stare at the details. But maybe you shoulda though, because if you look at this ice block hard enough, there's something hidden inside. Yeah, it's a Megalodon, one of the most famous Easter eggs Battlefield is known for. Now, the biggest shark in history is pretty terrifying, but I'd fight it any day instead of Omni-Man. Not only is he terrifying in the show, he's also Mortal Kombat, and the devs went all out with this crossover. Of course, he says classic lines like,
"Think, what good would your death accomplish?"
But there's a chance you'll hear,
"Get out of my sight before I demolish you."
If you've seen Invincible, you're probably thinking, wait, that's not a line from the show. Instead, it's an amazing reference to Whiplash, also starring J.K. Simmons.
"Get the out of my sight before I demolish you."
And speaking of anger management, Doom Eternal lets you take out that stress on tons of demons. But eventually, games come to an end. And beating the story, of course, plays the credits. Now, watching them normally through the main menu, it's nothing special, but if you sit through the whole credits after finishing the game, you'll get this bonus post-credit scene. If you've seen our other Secrets videos, you might remember Watch Dogs 2's hidden vehicle, a familiar-looking Jeep with an iconic horn. Yes, it's an obvious reference to Jurassic Park, but players were not expecting to load up the sequel and see the continuation of this Easter egg. At the top of St. Paul's Cathedral in Watch Dogs Legion, Ubisoft hid a toy car version of the Jeep, except the roar is even worse this time. But if you were on the strange side of YouTube in 2016, you might remember a ridiculous game called Blood and Bacon. It's a low-budget Left 4 Dead clone that was actually really good, not to mention the Easter eggs were incredible. One of the main characters is a farmer impaled on the wall. Sure, you can talk to him whenever you want, but if you shoot a hidden button, the farmer starts his own a cappella show.
Wish we could turn back time to the good old days.
I guess even farmers in the apocalypse can appreciate a good 21 Pilots song. But I gotta take this back to the Talos Principle because the sequel has some great references. Behind the Jenna Memorial, if you climb into the forest and go deep into the woodland, you can discover a retro video game. It is Serious Sam Gold, a classic bundle from 2003, and while this handheld version never existed in real life, the Talos Principle is made by the same developers, so they finally got to pay tribute to their origins. When you've got an Avengers game, there's one thing they have to get right, each character feeling unique. Luckily, despite letting you play as a ton of superheroes, they all have their own personalities. This is especially true after the campaign, when you could explore with whoever you want, leading to some crazy discoveries. For example, players who decide to enter Thor's bedroom and test who's worthy of picking up the hammer. Not only will they find the devs a counter for this, making it impossible to lift, they even gave heroes unique reactions.
One of these days.
Still not worthy.
Little surprise when Captain America steps up. If you know, you know. Now, every time someone claims they found a Breaking Bad Easter egg in a video game, it's always some RV or a vague reference. But in Infra, they made it undeniable. One of the buildings has a huge mural of Heisenberg himself, Walter White. Gotta admit though, that's one hell of a spoiler. Maybe you prefer a quiet life of sailing the ocean, exploring the waves, and chilling in Sea of Thieves. Well, on your journey, there's a chance you'll find Merrick's Journal, an interesting book with a pretty important message. We are no strangers to this code. You know the pirate code, and so do I. A pile of treasure is what I'm thinking of. You wouldn't get this from any other pirate. So okay, I see what's happening here. You got me. Luckily, when you find a secret of Forza Horizon 5, it doesn't rickroll you. Actually, to be honest, it's impossible to find this place unless you go into photo mode. Using the camera, you can look underneath a bridge and find a campsite with every prop from across the Horizon series. No one knows why this is here or who is collecting all this stuff, but maybe he's the guy who repairs signs after we destroy them. In fact, that is not the strangest thing someone found in a racing game. In Wreckfest, you could also use an out-of-bounds camera to find a UFO. Usually aliens are known for abducting cows, but this time the cows are aliens. Something tells me this won't end well. Admit it, we've all walked past a slide in a video game and immediately tried going down it. Normally it doesn't work unless you're playing Resident Evil 6? Because the Talos Principle is a puzzle game full of Easter eggs like this crowbar from Half-Life. Cool reference on its own, but with this crowbar, you can break a mysterious door leading you to the Box Museum. Here you'll find the companion cube from Portal, Minecraft Dirt Block, Half-Life crates, and a ton more. Anyone who's a fan of Call of Duty, though, will remember the iconic ending of MW2. You know when you knife Shepard straight in the eye? Spoilers, I know, but come on, the game's like a decade old. Anyway, this mission took place on Rust, which became a multiplayer map back in the day, and in the 2023 version, Sledgehammer Sledgehammer added a secret reference on the ground. Looking closely, you'll find the skull of General Shepard with the throwing knife intact. Rust is fast-paced, so you'd easily miss that, and in American Truck Simulator, you're way too busy driving around to look out for Easter eggs. Well, it doesn't mean you should ignore them. In fact, you might have driven past Kent Farm and never realized what's hanging in the front lawn. Over on the clothesline, you'll find Superman's costume hanging out to dry. Someone a little less popular is Claptrap. Whether you love him or hate him, there's no doubt the characters of Borderlands don't want to be around this guy. There's a side quest where you can celebrate Claptrap's birthday, and he's hosting his very own party. Naturally, it's your job to invite some guests, and you'll spend a while going around asking people to come. Of course, they all say no, but he doesn't know that. You can also decide not to join, but if you do visit his party, it's really sad.
Right. The guests should be arriving any minute. You enjoying the party? I'm sure everyone just got lost. This place is kind of hard to find.
You might have heard that a RoboCop game released this year, and it is phenomenal. You're cops, you can find people in the street committing even the pettiest of crimes like graffiti.
So what you gonna do? You can't put me behind bars. I'm still a kid and only done it once. Just let me off with a warning, will ya?
You get a few options here, and if you're a jerk, you can punish him, but in return, he gets pissed. But for those of you who are forgiving, it becomes heartwarming instead. One of these strangest secrets is hiding in Max Payne. There's a strange hole in the wall during Chapter 2, and most people would walk past it unless you have a grenade in your hand. Somehow players realize they could throw it through the hole only to declare war against rats. From this point forward, any rats that you encounter for the rest of the level will have pistols. I can't tell if rats with guns are terrifying or adorable, and the same goes for Modern Warfare 3's teddy bear. In Zombies, there's a crane in the distance. It's impossible to get up here, but you can zoom into it with a weapon. You'll spot a teddy bear, but I wouldn't recommend staring at it for too long. Speaking of horror games, Daymare 1998 kinda went under the radar, and so did its totally not suspicious wall. It looks relatively normal until you walk into it, revealing a secret passageway. Well, I wonder what kind of hidden Easter eggs are lying at the end of this corridor. Ah, damn it. At least there's an actual secret in Cyberpunk 2077. But come on, the game's full of them, and with the Phantom Liberty DLC, the devs added even more, like these two chairs in a random building. Okay, what's so special about this? Well, it's a recreation of the scene from The Matrix, where Morpheus offers Neo the famous red or blue pill. And of course, for an extra touch, the same pills are on the table. Things get really weird in Hitman though. On the Hokkaido mission, there's a secret rooftop you can discover. You must be disguised as a ninja to do it though. Once that's done, climb the steel beam, and it'll lead you to the best view of the map. You can even see the beautiful mountains in the... Wait, is that Godzilla? Okay, pop culture references are way too fun. I guess that's why Bethesda love to put them in all their games. From Fallout to Elder Scrolls, you can always find a secret, and it's even true for Starfield. On planets like Volt, you can find abandoned Dogstar factories. Well, if you're lucky enough, one of them will contain a movie reference. Laying in the molten rock below the factory, you'll find a skeleton next to a Digipick, which looks oddly similar to a lightsaber. Yes, this is Anakin Skywalker after Obi-Wan beat him in Episode 3, so I guess in this universe, he just burned to death? You know who else has Star Wars in their game? Fortnite. But then again, they have everyone now like Peter Griffin. If it wasn't ridiculous enough, he's a boss on the map, and if you eliminate him, Peter has a secret death animation. When you get to Baldur's actual gate, you can find a cabbage merchant whose cart has been wrecked. I guess the developers are big fans of Avatar: The Last Airbender.
My cabbages!
I have to go back to American Truck Simulator because if you drive down this hidden dirt path, it'll lead you to a yellow brick road. We all know where this is going. Let's just confirm my suspicions. Yep, it's definitely a Tin Man. And there's a Scarecrow too, so let's keep following this road, and there it is, an official homage to The Wizard of Oz, including the tornado, Dorothy's slippers, and a rainbow. Just make sure the rainbow doesn't lead you to the bottom of the ocean. In GTA 5, when you hop in a submarine and head all the way down to Crush Dab, your submarine literally starts contorting under the pressure. You can see it happening in real time. This game is 10 years old, by the way. So is Madden 10, and I'm guessing some of you are probably really good at this game. So good, in fact, that you can manage to score over 110 points in a single match. Even EA is shocked by this, and they send a warning message telling you to stop scoring or you'll literally break the game. Imagine being so good the devs call you out for it. A developer who really sticks with a theme is Ubisoft. In a game like Far Cry Primal, they made sure the Easter eggs fit the vibe. So when you swim underwater, there's a chance you'll come across a prehistoric car. car. Seem familiar? It is the Flintmobile. If you want to go forward in time though, I suggest getting a DeLorean in Forza Horizon. If you've seen Back to the Future 3, you'll remember when they use a train to push the DeLorean to 88 miles an hour. And if you get hit by a train in Forza, pay attention to the speed.
Nice.
The Easter eggs get even more subtle in Shadow of Mordor. In this game, everyone who kills you gets to rank up, and orcs will remember taking you out. So there's a chance that one is given the title of Kingslayer, and as a result, they lose their hand, replacing it with a metal one. If you've seen Game of Thrones, you already think what I'm thinking. This is an awesome reference to Jaime Lannister, the Kingslayer. And in Spider-Man 2, there are way too many details to go over right now. We have a whole video if you're interested. But one of my favorites is a spoiler, so if you haven't finished the game, skip ahead 10 seconds. Once you eat Kraven's head as Venom, head back to the same location, and his necklace is on the floor in a pool of blood. I mean, when did Spider-Man get so graphic? Well, it's not as disturbing as Lethal Company. This game took the world by storm, and it's insanely fun. Every location is randomly generated, so you never get the same corridor twice. But there are some areas which reappear every now and then, like this place, the Back Rooms. Speaking of great games, Mario Bros. Wonder is a blast. This thing is full of life, especially the talking flowers with advice. Unless you find them annoying, in which case you can turn off the voice in the settings. Let's just say they take it personally.
Oh, was it something I said?
Halo has a pretty interesting relationship with sandwiches. So, no surprise that in Infinite, you can break through a malfunctioning door only to find a random hologram of the most delicious sandwich you've ever seen. Not the only game to reference its past. One of GTA 5's missions has a secret pair of cars, and when you look closely at the license plate, you'll see Nico and Roman from GTA 4. Not only that, there's also wanted posters of Nico hidden all around the map. Heading back to the Talos Principle, we have a pretty festive Easter egg for you. If you find a button and reunite it with its owner, the snowman thanks you in the best way. That was over 1 hour of video game secrets. It's been Tommy, and keep it here on T5G.